I don't know what deal Annabelle struck with our ancestors on the other side so that she could be let free to have herself a hot girl summer, but bitch, Kalorama Mansion, which is a old slave plantation from Washington D.C., baby, it caught on fire twice in 2 days. Ooh, that's nice. Ooh, that's a mango Rita right there, and it tastes good. The story goes, it's the second slave plantation that is caught on fire in the United States in under 7 days, except the third, because this exact same plantation caught on fire twice in less than 24 hours. The first time it caught on fire, it was reported that everything was cleared out, everything was good. Hours later, less than 8 hours later, they received another call. All three stories of this master house on said plantation in Washington D.C. Look it up. I'm gonna put the name up here. Kalorama Mansion. They even changed it so it's not. It don't sound like it was a slave plantation, but it was a plantation. A very prominent plantation that was close to the north. All three levels of that bitch burning. Y'all know I got the photos. You know my nosy ass got the info. Let's get into it. I would like to preface this by saying y'all know I'm a spiritualist and I know nigga tree when I see it. That being said, I know when my ancestors are being petty. I also know that they lost Annabelle. My girl's out here in these fucking streets, having the time of her life. Sounding me like a deal was struck. Baby, where you go, if there is a slave plantation, light that bitch ablaze. And it had better burn down to the motherfucking ground. Do you understand me? That's the only way we're gonna make sure you gonna be able to live your hot girl. Listen, your hot girl summer. Okay? Fuck nigga free. Casket free. Glass box motherfucking free. Carcass free. That's the only way we making sure you gonna be straight in these streets. You gonna have the time of your motherfucking life. One thing though. Every single last one of them motherfuckers got burned down to the ground. She said, deal. 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 I'll make sure them bitches never see the light of day again. And if they call themselves try to fucking save it, I'ma burn it again. Twice in under 24 hours. Burning down. Me and the devil. Walking side by side. Listen, one thing about spirituality, whether it's hoodoo, voodoo, African, West African, hoodoo, voodoo, baby, we have a understanding of balance. And the whole thing about balance is you have to understand that your power is also linked in your ability to get your lick back. That is a major component of spirituality, getting your lick back. Because if you don't get your lick back, you basically giving your power up to somebody. You basically saying, now you got it. Now there's some things that the universe will handle. There are other things that you need to, even from beyond the grave, you got to come see about these motherfuckers. So you got to let them know before you go to the grave. Bitch, even when I'm dead and gone, I'ma still want that smoke. My ancestors have said it. Our ancestors have made it known. Listen, till you do right by me, you and everything you touch will burn. And they meant that shit. It don't matter how much time has motherfucking passed. You can scream, get over slavery until you're black and blue. But believe me when I tell you, if it was built on the back, the pain, and the lashes of my ancestors, it will burn. I don't give a fuck how much money your great grandpappy invested, how hard he worked. If it was built on the tears, the pain, and the lashings of my ancestors' backs, it will burn. Don't matter how much time passed. And knowing my ancestors, they're going to wait until you build that empire. Until that empire is good and wealthy. Good and fat. And then they're going to burn that bitch down. Thought you had some wealth, didn't you? Not the fuck today. Let them bitches burn. Let them burn. And don't you dare build that shit again. Because Annabelle going to be making her way back round yonder. And we going to watch that shit burn down again. Yeah. Y'all know I got my drink. I got my drink in hand. Mango Rita. Oh, that's a nice fire right there. Baby. She said, oh, okay, so you ain't hear me the first time. Let me show you something. Burn that bitch down again. This time they said the fire was even bigger than the first time. That means she meant it. That means don't even try to save that shit. That means let it burn. Let that bitch burn down. And if you play with me again, everything around this motherfucker will burn too. You think I'm not gonna have a hot girl summer? You got me fucked up. That's what Annabelle said. She said baby, she having a time, and the time is gonna be had. She out here causing havoc. She in these streets at the red light, twerking on some headlights. She trying to have a good time. And it sounded to me like I said, y'all think that the spiritualists in the community is the devil, when in reality we can hear our ancestors loud and clear, and we see our ancestors work. When we see our ancestors work, we know exactly what the fuck it look like. That's the ancestors. Y'all done opened them seals on the devil's coffin and sarcophagus and completely forgot that y'all not the only ones capable of that kind of behavior. Completely forgot. It's a lot of debts that y'all gotta pay back. Baby, it's a long list of debts of carcasses that need to pay shit back. It's a long list of karma. Baby, when I tell you that list is fat and it's 400 plus years long, you done open that seal and forgot. It's some of us on the other side of that motherfucker too. Some of our ancestors, not all of our ancestors is of love and light. Some of them is a straight belt to ass. They coming after everybody in the generational line. They ain't forgot about shit. They died hanging off that tree, woke up the minute that sarcophagus was open and said, baby, let's get active. You thought I forgot? You forget shit. I know my ancestors and they petty. Twice in 24 hours, all 3 levels burning. Sound to me like y'all need to do some repenting. Anywho, nigga, ain't got nothing. Good times. Hanging in a child line. Good times. Easy credit rip-offs. Good times. Scratching and surviving. Ain't we lucky we got them. Boom, 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 boom. Good times. Baby, I think the worst part about it is they don't realize that this is just a start. I think that's the part that they baby, y'all got a debt to pay. And the one thing that spirituality also teaches us is that sometimes the karma does not come back to you. Karma can skip a generation, or in our ancestors' defense, several generations. Sometimes karma can skip several generations and come right back around when it's least convenient for your bloodline. But when it's most convenient for us. Mm-hmm.
What's been going on lately. It's like the ancestors are speaking from the grave. We've had 2 fires and 1 Confederate museum destroyed. And now, here comes fire number 3. And look, I'm not blaming Annabelle this time. This ain't ghosts. This is bigger than Annabelle. This is our ancestors at work. And this time, the flames touched land tied to a woman named Hortense Prout. And trust me, you need to hear her story. Let's go back to 1861, right as the Civil War was kicking off. And I know what some of y'all are thinking. Wait, this happened in D.C. It's not the South. And you're right, D.C. wasn't the South, but that doesn't mean it didn't have slavery. D.C. was in the weird middle ground, not quite North, not quite South, but still very much a slave city. They had slave pens just blocks from the capital, and over 3,000 enslaved people living in the city in 1860. Yes, the North had slavery too. The big difference is the North had smaller farms, cities, and fewer enslaved people. But make no mistake, it was still slavery. The South had more land, harsher conditions, and relied way heavier on enslaved labor for agriculture. But DC, it had its own system of oppression, and Hortense was stuck right in it. Hortense Prout was just 20 years old, enslaved on a 56-acre estate in what's now Adams Morgan. The land was owned by a man named John Little, who ran a butchery, a tannery, and a cattle farm. He had 13 enslaved people, including Hortense, her mother Delilah, and her siblings. Now, here's where it gets bold. Hortense decided to escape. She put on men's clothes, which was a major risk in itself, and made her way toward the Union troops nearby. Because even though DC still had slavery, she knew the Union was the side fighting against it. Now pause for a second. How did she know that? There was no Facebook, no CNN, no Freedom Hotline. That means people were talking, word was spreading, enslaved folks were sharing information, probably whispering in kitchens and over fences. If you can make it to the Union, you might be safe. Hortense made a run for it, but she was caught. They threw her in jail for 10 days and then sent her right back to John Little's land. Now, here's the part that hits different. Less than a year later, in April 1862, President Lincoln signed the Compensated Emancipation Act, which freed all enslaved people in D.C. So yes, Hortense was legally freed. And that's the key difference between the North and the South. In D.C., when the act passed, freedom came immediately. But in the South, that's where Juneteenth comes in, because down in Texas, enslaved folks didn't find out they were free until June 19, 1865, 2.5 years later. Some folks say it was by accident, but let's be real, they didn't tell them on purpose, because free labor, yeah, they wasn't ready to get that up. So what happened to Hortense after emancipation? We don't have full records of her life, but we do know that her mother, Delilah Prout, stayed in a cottage on that same land. She even shows up in the 1870 U.S. Census, still living in that area, but free. The estate was eventually abandoned and turned into what we now call Kalorama Park. And the beautiful thing? That park is now part of the National Underground Railroad Network to Freedom, a program by the National Park Service that recognizes real places tied to Black resistance. So while Hortense didn't get a statue or a parade, she did get a marker in the park, a permanent reminder that she fought back. So yeah, a fire happened, but that fire didn't just destroy a building. It lit up a story we should have been talking about all along. Hortense Prout didn't go viral. She didn't have followers or fame, but she ran, she resisted. She made a move when it could have cost her everything. And if you listen closely, real close, through the ashes, through the smoke, through the silence of history they tried to erase, you can still hear the ancestors whispering, "We're not finished." And that's why we got to keep telling our own stories, because if we don't, they'll get buried, renamed, whitewashed, and erased, just like this building. So if you're with me, help keep this story alive.